Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Chulas Pero Mulas. I'm super excited again. Mayte agreed to do another episode with me, so I'm really excited about this. We've got a couple of things that we've kind of been throwing ideas about things that we want to talk about. We're going to go a little deep today because Mayte and I usually do. So, if you're not looking for a podcast with deep conversation today, go ahead and just tune into something else because we're gonna talk about a couple of I think topics that have to do with our culture, with the Mexican culture, and also that are not necessarily accepted. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into it. So Mayte, as we were talking about earlier, I think within our culture, sometimes it becomes a little difficult, to sever ties with people within our own family, just because it's not necessarily accepted or viewed, in a positive light. Like for example, our siblings. Mm-hmm. I think that, I know that you have experiences. I have experiences where ties just need to be severed, for our mental health, for my mental health, or even for the other person's mental health. And I think sometimes in our culture, like no se mira muy bien, like we get we get like a lot of backlash, and it's like, oh no, son hermanos, you guys always have to love each other. And I mean, honestly, I think when we grow up, like we realize that, yeah, we could be siblings, but if we don't necessarily like each other, or if we don't agree with the views, like it's okay. Like I think we can respect each other and maybe learn how to maybe see each other, once in a while, if that's even possible. But sometimes, like maybe just severing ties is just the best for like everybody, So what do you think about that, Mayte? Like, tell me about, is there any experiences that you've had that you want to share?
Oh God, yes. I'm back, everyone.
and so let me introduce. I just went right into it. So Mayte, it's Mayte, okay? Mayte Shah. So welcome, Mayte. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you so much for accepting another invitation.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, I think there's so much to talk about in our culture. There's so much. But yes, I mean, with us, you're absolutely right. Many times no matter how bad and negative the environment is, we're expected to stick together porque la familia. La familia, but then do we really know what la familia is? Where we really have a good perspective, a good idea, where we really taught what la familia is? Because I can tell you unfortunately, with the family that I was born into, we did tolerate each other for many years.
Okay.
Because I can genuinely tell you that, I have a total of 4 siblings, right? We're 4. There's two boys and 2 women.
Okay.
And the firstborn, quite frankly, never impacted my life. There's really nothing much to say about him because he was never present in my life. But the ones that was very difficult to break ties from was, like I mentioned in the podcast before, it was Memo.
Right.
Memo was a big influence in my life. And when you grow up, and I can generally tell you, growing up, when we were kids, he was my protector. He was a great influence.
Okay.
And when we were younger, I did look up to him. He was a hardworking young man. No le daba problemas a mi mamá. Fue responsable, no fue el tipo de muchacho que trajera a mujeres locas interrumpiendo nuestra vida, o he escuchado en ocasiones como algunos hijos que le roban a sus padres. Memo no. Memo fue un hermano ejemplar.
Okay.
A mi hermana Eli también, como mujer, siendo la mayor, mi hermana creciendo, les tuve un gran cariño, and it was genuine.
Okay.
But we grow up. And when you grow up, you start having your own points of views,
right?
Your own mind. You start questioning certain things. You start wondering, is this okay? I don't like this.
Yeah.
But if you start breaking away from the pack, ya eres la oveja negra.
I know.
Esta está loca, pinche babosa, traumada, right? ¿Qué le pasa? Esta idiota. It doesn't say anything.
That's traumatic, girl.
Right? Pero empieza.
That's drama.
Entre hermanos, if you say something, ay, como eres pendejo.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
So you kind of learn to, like whatever, but then you start realizing, ¿sabes qué? No me gusta ese tono que me hablan.
Right.
No te, I don't appreciate, como que no aprecias, pinche loca. I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, and because you start setting boundaries. Woo, you cannot do that.
It's because boundaries is a white thing, girl.
Yes,
it's the right
respect,
thing.
right?
Yes.
All of a sudden, and we're realizing everyone has a right to have boundaries. You need to have respect for yourself. You need to, again, your mental wellness. And right. I know for many years, anybody, if any of my siblings are listening to this, they're like, get mental wellness, pinches locas, yeah. Right? Because we were raised with a very close-minded mentality. And if you break from that, if you start being more knowledgeable and you want to know more about it, or if something speaks to you that doesn't speak to them, estás pinche loca.
Exactly.
You know, no sabes de lo que hablas. And people will find anything to discredit you. They will call you names. They will judge you. They will criticize you because you're no longer where they are. You're moving.
Right.
So when you start growing into your own, that seems to be very difficult for people to accept. And I can genuinely tell you that in the family that I was born into, sadly, we were not taught to respect each other or to even really take the time to get to know each other and to listen to each other. No. You know, we were raised to, if you share your perspective, somehow your siblings feel that they have the right to correct you, even though this is your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think when we start breaking away, it's not accepted.
Yeah.
It's like they want to continue to hold on to you, and you're saying you can still hold on to me, but you got to get to know me.
Right.
And you got to respect me and where my journey's taking me and my growth and how I see life and maybe the family that I've chosen, how I'm choosing to make things differently.
Okay.
You know, just because I'm not following certain traditions that maybe my mother kept.
Right.
It just means that I'm finding my own. Why is that so bad?
I know.
It's like my mom did her journey. She raised her family the way she did.
Mm-hmm.
Right, wrong.
Oh, the way she wanted to.
The way she wanted to. That was her choice.
Right, exactly.
But we become individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part of my mother. There's a lot of my mom in me, but there's also, I have my own mind.
Yeah.
And my mom did teach me to have my own mind. And that's what I tell my daughter. You don't necessarily, you got to question things. You got to read.
Right.
My mom did question things. You know, she would ask, like, ¿por qué es esto? She did. So she taught us to that. Maybe, like my sister and myself, we've taken it a little bit further.
Okay.
That we have definitely, my siblings, we are not connected.
Okay.
At all. With my sister, I have no bad relationship, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I can see my sister tomorrow and I'm still going to hug her and we're going to have a great conversation because I know that we're both, even though we may not be seeing each other or talking to each other every single day, when we see each other, I know we're going to have a genuine, nice conversation because of where we are individually in our lives. We're in good places.
Okay.
And I know that. That's not the same with my brother, with Memo. I think he was the one that was the hardest to let go.
Okay.
And it broke my heart that I had to let him go because he was so important in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I saw him, I realized this person that I now see, I don't like.
Yeah.
And I don't love him. And I don't respect him. And I do not admire him. There's absolutely nothing that I see that I want in my life.
Right. Okay.
So it was very difficult to let him go.
Okay.
Very hard. I had to, with my mom say, I'm sorry, but I cannot take on this responsibility.
Yeah.
I can't. He is in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a different place.
Exactly.
And I feel I have a very clear conscience in my relationship with my mom. There's a lot of things that they don't know
Okay.
of the relationship that I had with my mom. And they don't need to know because it's mine. And I honestly think that's why I have such a great peace of mind.
Okay.
And again, they'll attack it because they're not there.
Right.
They're not there.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's taking my brother, and I honestly, I wish for his own mental health that he is able to reach some kind of peace,
Mm-hmm.
maybe emotional growth.
Yeah.
That he can reach that peace, and maybe one day we can reconnect, but I don't see that ever happening. But that's why right now we are very much at odds.
Yeah.
Very much. They express themselves very negatively about me with anyone who can listen or is willing to listen, because I broke away.
Yeah.
I broke away. And then they'll say, you know what? He can say, te invito. But I don't want to. I never felt that I belonged.
Yeah.
At that table. And you know when it hit me, Irene?
When?
So when my mom passed away, she passed away in October.
Okay.
Right before the holidays. I remember I told my husband to go and spend the holidays with his family. I felt the need that I needed to be with my siblings.
Okay.
Right? And the first Thanksgiving, we spent it at Memo's, his wife, in her home.
Okay.
It was her house. We spent it in her home. And we're sitting there, and I remember getting up and going outside, and I started crying.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I'm sitting at a table with strangers.
Oh.
I don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know them. The one person that was my glue to maybe naively thinking that I knew any of them was my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She was gone. So I found myself sitting at a table with complete strangers whom I knew nothing about, and they knew nothing about me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayte.
And I remember getting up, and then typical. Later on, someone tells me, yeah, when you got up from the table, they started talking shit about you.
Oh, shit.
Typical, right?
Yeah.
Which was typical.
That's awful.
Si ese así va a estar para que está aquí, mejor que se vaya. Instead of coming to me and saying, ¿Cómo
are you
estás?
okay? What's going on?
But there's no empathy. Listen, I think the two brothers that are part of that family,
Mm-hmm.
they're serious. They really are genuinely quite narcissist psychopaths. I swear to God, they have no empathy. No empathy.
Okay, this is just a personal opinion.
This is my personal opinion. My perspective, what I saw growing up. No compassion, no empathy. Instead of Memo coming to me, understanding we lost our mom, and saying, hey, I get you. We're going to be okay. No, they start throwing stones at me.
Yeah.
So those are the things that you start realizing, do I really want to continue with this?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's time to just really go after my own peace of mind.
Right.
Because I didn't like who I was with them.
Okay.
I didn't like who I was with them. I felt that I had to continue to, with the same, ay, pinche baboso, no seas baba, you know. And I thought,
you're not that person anymore.
I do that.
Yeah.
I did it for many years because that's what you always feel that's expected.
Well, I think you were just conditioned. Well, I think you were. I think I was
conditioned.
Yeah, you were conditioned. Like, I mean, because that's basically part of, you know, what happens in programming that happens when we're raising children. So if that's how you were raised and that's what you knew, then that's how it was.
¿Verdad? And you start realizing, you start deprogramming yourself. You start realizing, ¿sabes qué?
I'm not this person. I'm nice. I'm not a bitch.
You no quiero estarle diciendo a Memo pendejo, baboso.
Yeah.
I want to cheer for my brother, but then it goes both ways too. I cannot allow you to disrespect me and belittle me and attack me, and for you to think that I'm always going to be nice to you. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
So if you're not there with me growing emotionally to where we can be both genuinely supportive of each other, then it's time to move on. Yeah. It's time to let go. So he has been the hardest one. See, I would say with my sister, I really haven't let her go. because whenever I see her, it's good.
Okay.
It's good. We don't have to be best friends,
Mm-hmm.
but we can really sit and say, hey, ¿cómo estás? And we have very good conversation.
Right, right.
But you cannot with Memo. He was the hardest one that I had to let go.
Oh.
But I had to,
Yeah.
Irene, I had to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
So if he listens to the podcast, I can say, hey, you know what? I loved you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being an amazing brother.
No.
Thank you for taking the rings on something that you weren't
It didn't
supposed
belong
to.
to him. Yeah.
You weren't supposed to, but you did.
Right.
And thank you, because you were a great influence. You did protect me when I was little. But I'm sorry that you stopped growing.
Yeah.
And you changed. You went in a different direction. I don't know what happened. I don't know what his life experience, what led him to be the person he is now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like his energy. I don't like him. I don't like what he has to say. I don't like the way he expresses himself. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I don't respect it. So I had to, again, he was the hardest one that I had to let go.
Yeah. I honestly, I think that a lot of it does have to do with like with our upbringing, you know. I know that throughout time I would hear like muchas de las familias, not just my family, but like a lot of, other families would say like, no, pero somos familia, no, pero somos hermanos, no, pero son hermanos, llévense, háblense. It's like, I think que it doesn't matter si somos familia, como if we're just people, like we need to learn how to like each other as people, because we're not kids anymore. You can't make us love each other. You can't make us cuando que nos peleábamos, di abrázala, ve, dale un beso. That's ridiculous. Like we're grown ass adults. So I think having relationships with our siblings is a choice.
It is.
It honestly becomes a choice. Like, do I like you as a person? Do you contribute, to my life? Do you enrich my life? Do I like hanging out with you? Are you fun? Are you, do you match my energy? Like, do we have things in common besides, that we come from the same place and we were raised the same way and whatever? Because now all that is in the past. Like, ¿quién somos ahorita? And so I completely understand. Like, I completely understand where you come from. Something like really similar, like happened to me, but like in reverse. Like, so with us, it's 5 of us, and so it's Laura, I'm the middle one, and then it's Claudia de las mujeres. And so, a couple of years ago, I'm going to say it's probably going about 2 years or probably a little bit more than that. Claudia decided that she didn't want to have a relationship with me. She decided that she didn't want to have a relationship with several members of our family, but I can't speak about that because I can just speak about me. So I think when initially when it happened, I was actually like in shock. I'm not fucking with you. I was like calling her and like going to her house and like, what do you mean you're not going to talk to me? Like I don't even know what I did wrong. Like I don't. Like I was so confused. I felt like a kid again, like a child. Like, but you're my sister,
Yeah.
To this day, honestly, I don't know, what it is that I did wrong, because she that's a choice that she made, and I had to come to a point where I had to let it go. I had to let it go because it was starting to affect my life, and because it was very clear that she didn't want me to participate in her life anymore. So I had to respect that.
Yes.
It was just like, you know what? I love you because I love you. I need to respect your choice. If at any point, you want to get to know me again, oh my gosh, call me. Like, I'm there for you. Like, we can resume where we left off, because I love her as a person, but we don't know each other as people anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know if, it's just kind of funny. I don't even know if she would like this version of me, because she doesn't know this version of me. I've evolved from that person that she knew, 2 years ago. I know that I'm not that same person. Yo sé que yo no soy. And so, I think it's been hard for me because all that energy that I feel that I was investing in like trying to like hold on to something that obviously she didn't want to have she wasn't interested in, I could have just invested that into myself.
Yes.
And so when I figured that out, I started doing that, and I started working on myself, and then I started like working and figuring out why I was having such a hard time letting her go, why I was having such a hard time with somebody else making a decision not to be in my life.
Yes.
Because then I made
That's hard.
I know it was, because I think what I was doing in the beginning was making it about me. It's about me. It's about me. Well, and it wasn't about me. This was about somebody completely different that made her own choice, that has control over her, and she decided to do this, and I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know how to accept it, because that wasn't part of my programming when I was raised. Nobody told me that could happen, because all I saw growing up was brothers, sisters fighting, talking shit to each other, always talking shit to each other. Brothers, even like I grew up with watching my dad, like even physically fight his brothers, physically like, get into altercations with his own dad. And I was just like, well, I mean, it became normal for me. I mean, how is that not normalized?
Yeah.
And so that was like when that happened, that situation happened with Claudia and I, with my sister and I was just like, I didn't know what to do, because I didn't have I didn't have the know abouts. I didn't have the programming to say, it's okay, let it go. Let it go. You can't do anything about it. It's out of your control. Let it go. And so it affected me so much. So I don't know if I necessarily contribute this to the culture, to the Mexican culture. What I do contribute to the Mexican culture is that esa cosa que nos dicen, like, pero son hermanos, pero son what is it? Blood is thicker than water, y que se tienen que querer, y que eso no son, like,
No, that's not true.
It's not true. And I had this conversation with my mom not that long ago, and I told her, Mom, I'm like, we're people. We choose. Like, Laura, I love her. I admire her. I love hanging out with her. She's like one of the most fun people, but I like her as a person. I love her as a person.
That's neat.
Yes. And so now she's just not my sister. She's one of my best friends. Like, we have a different relationship now, but it's a relationship that we chose to have. It's a choice. This isn't, nobody's making us anymore.
Exactly.
We're choosing. Like, I choose to have you in my life because you contribute, because you bring peace to me, because I love, like, your serenity. And I love that thing about you. And she loves me in her way. And she appreciates me, and she doesn't judge me. And I'm just like, that's all I need. That's all I need.
And that's important too, but you don't see that. That's why I see that with you guys. The last podcast, you said it was your little brother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that first of all, that he was so vulnerable, right? Because it's hard for men with the whole...
with Fernie. He's my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law, but you call him your little brother,
Yeah,
right?
he's my little brother.
I love the fact that he was so vulnerable, but I also, what caught me was he talked about his brother being his hero, right?
Right.
Looking up to him. And I thought, man, I don't know what that's like. Because I didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
And I see that with you and Laura, and I'm like, that is so awesome, because I really didn't have that.
Yeah.
Now, I had that, obviously, like I said, with my brother Memo when we were little.
Okay.
Right? Things were a lot more simpler, right? I looked up to him. But when you start growing up and you start becoming your own individual,
right?
I love the fact that you and Laura have been able to reach that point where there's mutual respect.
Right.
To get to know each other, Right now you talk about Claudia, and I wonder if you would even like Claudia now, where you are now. See? And that's always now where you are now.
Exactly.
Would she bring anything good into your life? You might even find yourself realizing, I think we're good like that.
Yeah.
Right? Because if she didn't grow up, if she didn't evolve into someone that can contribute into your life, then that's where, a lot of it, I think that's where our culture, we just find it very difficult to wrap that around our heads.
Right.
No, somos familia, como que no somos individuales, somos familia.
Yeah.
Like, no, podemos ser una familia, pero también somos individuales. Pero también tenemos que tener respeto y conocernos.
Yep. I agree on that.
Pero si continuamos si seguimos estar criticándonos y estar hablándonos en una manera tan irrespetuosa, Si una persona decide alejarse de ti,
then you gotta start looking at
les
you.
pido que
Like,
simplemente
exactly.
respeten eso y dejen ir
Sí.
a la persona.
Yeah.
¿Ok? Si le quieren llamar, ay, esa loca, o esa... Está bien, lo que les ayude a ustedes, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Pero, como tú dijiste, it was very difficult for you that someone else made that choice for you.
Yes.
And I think that's where I'm at with Memo.
Yeah.
I think he finds it very difficult to see, pero porque esta cabrona
Yeah, you made the
ha
choice.
decidido.
Yes.
He doesn't understand. And yeah, I did, because you need to look at you, my beloved brother.
Yeah.
You need to look at your life and see, why was it that I no longer want you, this version of you.
Right.
If you can bring my brother back, the brother that I grew up with,
Yeah.
mira, open arms.
But
if you bring this person that you are now, no.
Yeah.
I wish you the best.
Yeah. So I think that's where it starts to become like these choices that, we start making for ourselves.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that that self evolution, like this self involvement, isn't very accepted by our culture.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Because I honestly, I feel como que and not everybody. I think maybe it might have to do with the older, with
I think
maybe
more of
the
our
older
generation.
mix. Yeah. Yo pienso que se mira o se siente como like you're being white. That's white. They contribute that to being white, my thing.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Get it, Irene. It's like, I'm a human being, and as a human being, I have rights.
Exactly. And I have such a hard time dealing with that part of it, because I'm like, I'm just who I am. I'm just who I am, and the part about growing as an individual and just looking at my life different doesn't have to do anything with being Mexican or nothing. It's just I'm just this person, Pero sí se me hace difícil, y se me hace como que it does make you feel like very como not accepted.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of makes you feel like not accepted because...
Lo sientes, la energía, mira, cualquiera que no cree en la energía, en mi opinión, es un poquito ignorante, con todo respeto.
I know.
Pero la energía, y especialmente en nuestra cultura, creemos mucho, con las hierbas y la planta, mucho con el planeta, no la tierra. Estamos conectados.
Right.
So, ahí es donde está mucho la contradicción, ¿no? Porque si estamos creyendo de que estamos conectados con la tierra, pero luego hablamos de la energía y dices, ay, pinche loca, ¿qué es eso? Something's wrong here. You're contradicting yourself. Yeah. You gotta find right there.
Yeah.
Pero lo sientes cuando no te aceptan. Esa energía, esa negatividad que sientes, esa pared de que no te aceptan, es sorprendente cómo lo puedes sentir. Y luego te sientes, no, I don't belong here.
Yes. Like it's that gut thing, something tells you in your gut.
Yes.
That like, I'm not wanted here. I'm not wanted here.
Not.
And I have learned to, because that's part of working on myself. And I do, por eso como te estaba diciendo, yo sé que cuando me miran otras personas, they put me in this category, like you're weird, the things that you believe in are weird, you don't really fit into this culture, you don't, they start, siento como que I'm being compartmentalized a lot, because I don't believe in certain ideas, or I don't follow certain traditions, or I just don't believe it. I just don't practice it in my life because I don't believe it's valuable. It doesn't hold any value for me, so I don't do that. So, but what gives anybody the right to criticize me for that?
No.
I'm literally I stay on my lane. I stay on my lane and I do what I can, to be a better human being. And honestly, just to fucking be a better human being.
Yes.
That's completely it, because that part of it takes so much time. Cuando nosotros empezamos a trabajar en nosotros and we start looking at ourselves, who we are as people, we literally have no time to be criticizing or be a part of any chismes, because that actually takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. It takes a lot. I figured out I figured out based on experiences and lessons in life that if I focus my time and all that energy in me, I can do a lot more with it.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Why would I choose to live this life complaining all the time? Because porque este tiene más que yo, porque este hace más que yo, porque that person has advanced more in life. Like looking at everybody and not looking at me.
Exactly.
Like there's something going on with me. It has nothing to do with the outside world. It has nothing to do with my partner, my children. Nobody. It has to do with me. Where am I in life? And that's it. That's it. That's it. The minute we start working on ourselves, nos empezamos a dar cuenta.
Exactly.
You know, like shit. No, like I love you, brother, but you know we don't jive. Like we don't get along.
The pieces don't fit anymore.
Like you're always gonna be, you know, I'll always have the memories, whatever. And I think it goes with everybody in life. Everybody. I was telling I don't know if I hurt my mom's feelings a little bit because I told my mom, like, Mom, there's even times where children don't like their parents.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, there is like they're always going to be your parents and you're always going to know that they're your parents. But you come to a point in life when you realize that, like, I don't really like you as a person. Like, you're not changing. Like, you're not evolving as a person. You're still, you know, metiéndote en mi vida, trying to dominate, trying to dictate how I live my life and who and we start seeing that and people don't like it.
Yep.
And then you start separating. And I go, and then the parents get all butthurt, like, no, pero son mis hijos, tienen la responsabilidad. Nobody has a responsibility no la obligación de estar en la vida de nadie. It's a choice. It is a choice. You know, I had that lesson. It was a hard lesson. It was something, I think I'm still going through it with my girls when they decided to move, you know, 2,000 miles away from me. And I know that, you know, some people in our culture, like, it's really hard for them to wrap their heads around it. Like they're trying to start out their life in a whole new different state, really far from us. And in the beginning, yeah, of course, they're my children. I love them. You know, if I don't see them, you know, often enough, you know, whatever, I have these feelings. But I also understand that they're their own people and they're going to go live their lives that have absolutely nothing to do with me. Whatever I was able to do for them, I have already done.
Yeah.
Good, bad, sad, happy, whatever, it's already done. Now live your life. Live your life. And maybe one day you're going to be like, hey, maybe I want to get to know you, Mom. I think I've kind of been kind of like, you know, checking on some of the stuff that you do. Maybe I like you. Maybe I want to hang out with you. But that's different than, oh, are you going to call Mom? Oh my God. Like I never want that from my children. Que se les haga una responsibility, like a job.
Exactly.
To have to call Mom.
Porque si no, ahorita me van a crucificar.
Yes.
Porque no llamé.
Exactly. Because she's going to call them and I'm like, I never want to be those moms. I made a conscious decision that I do not want to be that mom.
Yeah.
And I want to be the mom that is available and accessible to them. You text me, and maybe, you know, we can make time, you know, because I am living my life. I'm working on my own projects. I'm working on my own things, and I don't have time to be worrying about your life. You know?
Absolutely.
Y yo pienso que si hacemos eso, like, that frees us up to do whatever the fuck we want with our lives.
It does, but you know what I learned though, Irene? It takes, because I've done the work and I continue to do the work. Okay, there's still a lot that I still need to heal and a lot for me to grow. A lot.
Of course.
You know?
That's a lifetime journey, girl.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And probably there's not going to be enough life to get there, but I think enough to get to, well, it'll take me to the next, wherever it is, right?
Okay.
But because I've done that, I can generally tell you that it takes a lot of balls, a lot of courage.
Yeah.
To really take a look at yourself. You have to open up wounds.
Yeah.
And you need to have that strength. And quite frankly, I like who I am, Irene, now. I like, and that's why I want people to like me for who I am, not for what you want me to be. I was that for far too long.
Yeah.
Far too long. And quite frankly, when I met my husband, that's when I started having more of the freedom. Because I've been very fortunate to be with my husband who accepts me for who I am. I can be as sexy, as funny, as dumb, as intelligent, sophisticated. whatever.
Right.
And he doesn't judge. He doesn't look at me in a weird
Amazing, May.
way.
Yeah.
He doesn't, ay, eres esta pinche loca, ¿qué le pasa?
Yeah.
Ay,
You feel accepted.
He completely.
Yeah.
If I'm in a moment where, the hormones are just taking over you.
Mm-hmm. And that's another podcast right there. That's another episode because we're at that age.
Right there.
Yeah.
My husband doesn't, what's going on with this stupid bitch?
Yeah.
Nothing like that. Nothing goes, are you okay? What can I get for you?
Right.
Let me know what you need.
Yeah.
And if I say, sweetie, I just need some space. Can you just take care of our daughter? You got it, babe. But that's something that when I was going through hormonal issues as growing up, esta pinche loca que ya cásate.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, people. El casamiento no va a arreglar lo que estoy pasando o como está cambiando mi cuerpo. Have some compassion.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wouldn't get it from anybody.
Yeah,
no one.
Yeah.
I was, okay, I got to figure this out,
Yeah.
So that's also what I mean about, you need to really go back into looking at any scars, any wounds. You got to open them up and go through the healing process.
You got to feel them to heal them.
You really do. Because that's going to give you the courage, quite frankly, to be different. I'm different with my daughter, with my husband. If he's feeling a certain way, are you okay?
Yeah.
With my daughter, are you okay? What do you need? Okay, just communicate. It's different.
Right.
I've made the choice to be different. And because you make the choice to be different, in our culture, at least I can say,
from your experience,
from my experience in the household that I was born into, it was not accepted. You couldn't do that. ¿Cómo que le hablas bonito a tu hija? ¿Qué?
¿Cómo que le dices honey, or I love you a tu husband?
A mi marido, exacto. Cuando yo le digo, ay, esta pinche babosa, o esta pinche loca, o ay, ¿cómo eres baboso? No, like I don't. Many times when I used to have gatherings with the family I was born into, and I would talk to my husband, yeah, sweetie, can you give me that? Siempre las burlas. Ay, sí.
Muy sweetie. I know. It's so true.
Ay, sí, mira, está, esta pinche mamona. Ay, sweetie. It's like, if I made the choice, if I don't want to tell my husband, baboso, idiota, it's my choice.
Yeah.
Why is it so difficult for you to respect it? Maybe learn something. Maybe realize, you know what, maybe I should try some compassion towards my wife. Maybe I should show some appreciation towards maybe I should ask my wife, hey, ¿qué quieres hacer hoy?
Yeah.
Y no enfocarte en lo que tú solamente quieres hacer. O que si tu pareja sufre de ansiedad, ahí está pinche loca con tu ansiedad. Jesus.
Yeah, pero se me hace, Mayte, que that has to do with that machismo that is still obviously very alive.
I think so. And I want to clarify, I grew up listening to that in the household I was born into, because I don't know if every family is like that, but in the household I was born into, that's what I kept on hearing.
I remember your home.
Yes, a lot.
They cussed a lot. Your mom cussed a lot.
My mom cussed a lot. No nos veo hijos de la chingada.
You learned a lot of bad words with your mom.
A lot, And sometimes you take it as a joke.
Yeah.
There were some times where mi mamá decía, chinga tu madre, when you learn what that really means. Chinga tu madre. Ay, no, mamá. That's not right. Se quedaba, vete la chingada. So you start making fun.
I know.
You take light of it, right? You take light of it.
Yeah.
But then we go back to, I can genuinely tell you that even though I wasn't fond of that, I was able to see a lot of great qualities of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
That you were able to just embrace that and to know, you know what, that's her way maybe of showing affection.
Right.
I don't quite understand it, and that's not the way I'm going to raise my family, but this was her family.
Yeah.
And to appreciate. So with my mom, looking back, I don't put her up on a pedestal. She was not a saint.
Yeah.
She was a beautiful, flawed human being and someone that I love. And you know what? I really did enjoy my mom.
Yeah.
Towards the end, we did spend a lot of time together. We had a lot of conversations that I was able to record that I will never share with anyone because they're mine.
Yeah.
They're conversations that I had with my mom about life, about her life.
Right.
What she thought her marriage as women, because I also believe sometimes as mothers, there's certain things that we're going to share with our daughters that we will never do if we had sons.
Yeah.
Because your daughter's going to understand you now that they're becoming women.
Exactly.
And that was the thing with my mom, you know? So I think that's why also looking back at those videos, it helped me a lot in my healing process. And quite frankly, Irene, in realizing that será muy la familia, pero yo soy yo.
Yeah.
Yo he crecido, I've evolved in a different way.
Yeah.
But I'm happy where I am. And again, I want to be accepted for who I am, not who you want me to be.
Okay.
And I don't want to be criticized and judged because, también todavía me puedo defender. Pero no me gusta esa persona. No te quiero estar diciendo, óyeme, tu pinche huevón, cobarde, baboso. I don't want to do that.
I know. Like, seriously, like, yo también, yo siento así, like, we grew up, like, well, I mean, you know, I've talked about it. We basically grew up raising ourselves, you know, nobody was there, you know, telling us, like, those are bad words and use bad words like that. So I remember we used to, like, use a lot of bad words. And we used to, like, nos dirigíamos, like, I used to call my brothers, ay, pendejo, levántate, mira, you know, like, really mean stuff, like, really, really mean stuff. And now, like, obviously, you know, like, even to, like, direct, like, a mean word at somebody, like, feels ugly inside.
It does.
Like, it feels ugly. That I know that's not me, because even to say that, like, to direct that kind of negative energy towards somebody, like, that feels ugly to me. It just feels ugly,
especially when it comes with anger.
See, like, and I'm like, I don't live like that. That's not how I express myself. I work really hard to express myself with love and kindness to every person, you know, like, you know, I'm a hugger and I love hugging people. And if I sense that you're going through something, I'm probably going to hug you a little bit longer, because I know that it produces something in your brain and it's good for you. Let me hug you. Let me just hug you.
I love hugs.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to judge your life, cómo estás viviendo, cómo no estás viviendo, qué debes hacer, because that's your choice. That's completely up to you. All I could do is love you and tell you that I love you. And if you ever need anybody to talk to, I'm here for you. That's all. Because that's all I'm giving myself permission to, because that's your life.
Yes, exactly.
And if somebody doesn't give you the permission to butt into your life, entonces we shouldn't. We shouldn't, you know, like, I don't care si eres muy su madre, like, and I know my mom sometimes looks at me like, you know, she's probably thinking a bunch of stuff, but I tell her, Mom, when we're adults, like, it's our lives. You don't know this part of us because we don't tell you every part of us. Because there's some really, really private parts about ourselves that we're never going to share with you, because maybe we don't want you to hurt, because they're so personal that I'm not going to share them with anybody. And it doesn't have anything to do with me not loving you. I love you.
Exactly. But some things you just don't. You find yourself, you don't need to.
No, I don't want to share that. Yeah. There's things about my life that my mom and nobody is ever going to know, because they're mine. Like those videos from you and your mom, those are mine.
Exactly.
No, nadie tiene acceso unless I give you access.
Exactly.
To it.
If I want to let you, because she needed to let it out. She needed to say whether she was proud, where we let her down, her disappointment, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a good conversation, because I got to know my mother as a human being. Yeah. And that's why I love my mother as a human. And that's why I know that when she left that body, she was like, a la chingada, cabrones.
Peace out.
Like,
I already went through this. You guys deal with this.
Like, me puedo ir. And I know I felt it, like, you know, just good. But again, you know, and somehow something in me tells me my mom would be proud of the woman that I've become and that I was able to break certain cycles. Because in my opinion, Irene, when I look back in my perspective, and that's what I shared in the first podcast, was I did see my mom breaking some cycles from her upbringing.
Okay.
In that, I was able to see the strength in her and why I have so much admiration and, quite frankly, respect from my mother. again, I'm not putting her up on a pedestal porque no era ninguna santa. Fue una mujer, un ser humano. Mi madre fue madre, hija, hermana, esposa, mujer, amante, todo. Y lo hizo en la manera que ella pudo. Y así la quiero y la respeto, pero no siempre. Yo seguí evolucionando. Tal vez mi curiosidad me ha llevado a leer libros, a entender un poquito más de la vida, a querer saber, hey, yo quiero que mi mamá esté orgullosa de mí y que diga, esa es mi hija. Y no, yo no quiero que esté, ay, no, ¿qué hice? ¿Por qué? No, quiero que esta es mi hija. Evolucionó, creció, está mejor madre tal vez de lo que ella fue. Pero she gave me something to work with.
Of course.
She started it all.
Of course, yeah.
So, y mi hija, she's a good wife and she's a good cook and that's what I want. I don't want my mom to look at me and, híjole, ¿no? ¿Qué hice con esta?
I didn't teach her.
No la enseñé independencia, madurez, compasión, exacto. Quiero que esté orgullosa de mí, So, con mi hermano Memo, desafortunadamente, we're just not in the same.
Yeah, you're just not aligning.
We're not aligning at all. And again, I have the best memories that I'm able to share with my daughter of once upon a time, I had a wonderful brother.
Yeah.
So I already mourned the loss of my brother.
Yeah.
I did. I genuinely did. What's going to happen in the future, Irene? I don't know, but I've already mourned him.
Okay.
Because the person that I see now, I don't like him. And again, we go back with, it's okay. Just because we're family, it's okay that we don't like each other because we do grow up, right? Yeah. Our own journey, our life experiences, our own marriages, everything is our journey is different. But if either we choose to continue to stay together and maybe to help each other out through the journey, or we don't. And unfortunately, with my brother Memo, we've made different choices.
Yeah.
I no longer want to be stuck. I want to grow. I want to enjoy life.
I think, like...
And it doesn't mean that I'm not Mexican. Y que no quiero familia.
Exactly. Eso te iba a decir porque like, yo todavía lo miro. I still feel that como that presence, like, of like that cultural, como, like, it's almost like a resistance. Como, no, we gotta, this is part of our culture. We're brothers and sisters. We gotta, we always have to stick together, brothers and, y yo también, for a long time, I grew up like that until I made a choice that I didn't want to anymore. And I started setting boundaries and this and that. So, making choices for that, like, it's difficult, because, porque trae muchas otras cosas que pasan, que other people look at you and you're not a good person anymore. How dare you? Y ya no quieres a tus hermanos, todo lo que hicieron por ti, o todo lo que hizo por ti, like, it's like, that already happened. Like, that, it's, whatever happened back then, like, no nos podemos estar echando en la cara que porque si te ayudé, so you helped me one time, so I need to be in your life forever because you helped me that one time. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. No. It just doesn't work like that. Yo lo he mirado mucho. I continue to see that.
Yeah.
I continue to see these now, they become like, ya están older adult brothers and sisters, and they're still hating each other. They're still fighting, pero hoy quieren saber, quieren estar involucrados in each other's life. Why?
Y mucho chisme.
A lot of chisme.
Mucho, al menos, again, the household I was born into.
No.
Mucho chisme, dime y diretes. Mira, eso pasó. Mucho chisme, mucho criticar, judging. Eso, pero a la vez, Irene, ¿eso quiere decir ser mexicano? ¿Que estés de envidioso, que estés de chismoso?
Se me hace que eso sí tiene que ver con la cultura mexicana.
I mean, that's
like it does.
Sad,
I feel like it does because, I mean, I grew up like that. I grew up, and I know most of the people in the Mexican culture, at least the people that have been raised in this country. Se me hace que we all can give examples of, how we witnessed, people talking shit on each other all the time. So that impacted us. And that formed us, to become people that eventually at some point I participated in that. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
I was a very big participant.
Me too.
We made it a thing, like, te voy a hablar para el chisme.
Sí.
Let me tell you the chisme, but like, but so it did become, and I'm not like discounting it. I know it's happened. I know it happens. I know it's happening now, but it's just not choosing not to participate in it. That's all.
Exactly. And then I wonder,
Like,
what does that mean? Because I don't want to participate anymore. Does that mean que ya no soy parte de la familia? Ya no soy mexicana? That's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad.
Because you're right, though, and I take responsibility. También yo con mi mamá, man, Irene.
Yeah.
Pero buenos chismes que nos echábamos. Absolutely.
It's almost like a thing. It's a thing. When women get together, vamos a echar chisme, and you're talking about, mira que te fijaste lo que traía puesto, y fíjate, y te fijaste que ya está gorda,
sí.
Y te fijaste cómo está flaca, y te fijaste, se me hace que le anda poniendo el cuerno. And I'm just like, how the fuck?
Y hasta como educan a los hijos. Ay, ya ves cómo le habla al hijo? No, hombre, me dio unos pinches chingadazos y lo calma el cabrón. Sí. Right?
It is.
Todos esos comentarios.
Sí.
And you're right. I'm very,
we got and I took responsibility too, because I participated in it.
Absolutely.
It was like fun.
It was. And that's what I mean, that you have to go back and you have to take responsibility and look at the wounds and realize, I partake in that.
Yep.
Yo también estuve. Y ¿sabes qué? I don't want that anymore.
Yep.
I want to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Pero if some people want to continue with that, you're
not part of the group anymore.
You're not, you don't belong.
No.
Si ya estás ahí, vas a decir, ¿sabes qué? No hablen mal de ella. Ay, sí, esta mamona. You're like,
no,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I encounter it, and I it continues to happen where I'm like, like, you probably shouldn't be talking about that person. Like,
exactly.
I know they se callan for a second, but like, really, I'm thinking, de veras que están, like, what are they really thinking? Like, esta sangrona, or vamos a dejar que se vaya so we can continue.
Exactly.
So you stop being part of that circle.
Yeah. Pero you're right. You reach a point to where you're like, ya no. And if that to you means que ya no soy mexicana, well, that's kind of sad that you believe that's really just our culture. Because it's a lot more than chismes, envidias.
Sí.
It's a lot more.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm deciding that if that's part of being Mexican, I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going just to embrace then the beauty that our culture really does have to embrace.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get rid of the things that I don't like then. Mm-hmm. Si esos son los chismes y las envidias y las críticas, and so be it.
Yeah.
Yo no quiero. No me gusta eso. It's not who I am, and I didn't like it.
I know.
When I look back, digo, mira, nada, con razón me decían que estaba amargada. Pues, ¿cómo no?
Sí.
If I'm seeing all of that, nada más to be a part of it, because that's what you grew up with.
Yeah.
Y si no metías tu cuchara en la sopa, entonces, ¿qué estás haciendo, right?
I know.
¿No eres de la familia?
Yeah.
Okay, pues órale, vamos a...
No, seriously. Seriously, it becomes like a group participation kind of thing. Pero yo también me he dado cuenta de otra cosa, que when you kind of like when you start kind of like putting your foot down, the circle of people that used to be in your circle starts becoming very small.
Yes.
And it does. And in the beginning, to be honest with you, it bothered me. I had a very hard time because I noticed like the people that I used to, associate with, friends, whatever, like they didn't want to be around me anymore. We weren't really hanging out anymore. Like something was shifting and I couldn't put my finger on it, and I thought it was my fault. But then I realized, like, no, it's just, we're just not aligning. My views on life are different. And I can't expect people to feel the same way about it. I mean, I can't. Exactly. I have no control. So just learn it. And I think I just put more energy into myself. And if I'm good with myself, then I learn how to be okay with myself by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know how to be by myself before, And so now I can be by myself and I'm good.
Oh, it's the most wonderful thing, honestly, that you do. It's a lot of peace.
It's like, seriously, like,
God, yes.
And I honestly, it's very, it really doesn't impact me in any way, shape, or form. That I may be criticized behind my back. I don't care. It doesn't have an effect on me anymore, because I'm just who I am, and I don't like. I don't. I can't excuse myself. Like, sentía como que antes it was like excuse after excuse because I dress different, because I talk different, because I do this thing different, because I don't. I'm weird. I'm a strange person, but I'm a real cool person. I'm so cool. I'm an amazing person. I'm a wonderful person, and I love myself. And to get to that point to say I love myself, it's hard, Mai.
It takes a long time.
Like, yo pienso que esa was una de las cosas que I would want, to make a difference. And I think that's, I did this podcast for a bunch of different reasons, but, like for other women to like understand, like being a part of a culture doesn't define you as a person.
Exactly.
You can make up the rules whenever you want. You can change them. You can reinvent yourself. You can, if you were like this, you don't have to be like that anymore. Mm-hmm. If you want to try this out, go try it out. If you want to say, ay, no, pues no me gusta esto, me quiero poner esto, póngaselo. Póngaselo. Like, do you like this weird hat? Fucking wear it.
Yeah.
Just wear it, because somebody's always going to talk shit on you.
All the time.
De cualquier modo. So be yourself, be unique, be authentic. And when I learned that, I just became weirder.
You have to be who you are. And you know what? That's something that I tell my daughter. And that's what I tell my daughter often. People are going to come into your life for certain periods of time because there's something that you're supposed to learn along the way.
Yeah.
They're supposed to help you in that journey, that fraction. And it's going to come to an end. And it's going to be very painful and hard to let go.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay, because that means that now you are in a different path, and they're going to get in a different path. Whatever that may look like for them. But you have to move on. And in your path, there's going to be other people.
Yeah.
And just like you, Irene, I don't have that many people in my life, but you know what? I don't recall having so much. Peace.
I know. Honestly.
Me,
I know.
Irene, being me. It's very freeing.
Well, it's because I think for most of us, we don't know what being me means, Mai. It doesn't, seriously, right. Like getting to that point where getting to reach that point to understand me. Like, who the fuck is me? Like, you gotta do some like really heavy, like digging inside. Yes. That's really, really painful, to figure out who me is. And, for me, like when that happened to me, I'm like, I'm not going to go back. Like, I just did all this work. Why would I ever want to go back to be somebody that I was just so unhappy because I wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was trying to put a face or, a personality for cada persona that I would come in contact with, I would personify somebody else. I was a version of me, like a million times. And that was exhausting.
Yeah, just to see who they would, or where they should fit in.
Just so you can like me?
Yep.
If you like me, like me for me. This is me. I smile a lot. I laugh a lot. I smile a lot. I like I said, I'm quirky. I'm weird. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to, I do things that are not in our culture. I say things that are not culture appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
That people like se asombran y se asustan, and it's like, ay, pero ¿por qué dijo eso? ¿Por qué dijo eso? Ay, es que ese no está...
Se le metió el chamuco.
Sí, porque anda allá. Y pero ¿por qué piensa eso? Ay, odiará a sus padres.
Mm-hmm.
No, fuck no, I have no hate in my heart. That takes energy. Again, I invest that energy in me. I learned how to love my parents. I learned how to love them as human beings. And then I figured out I like them as people because they're fun people. They're fun. I like hanging out with them because my mom is fun, because my dad is cool.
Yeah.
And I don't judge him because you fucked me up when I was growing up. Everybody's some kind of fucked up.
We're all broken. We all have scars. That's what makes us who we are. We learn to appreciate.
And so, okay, with that, and to close our the show, who do you think you've become? Who did Mayte become based on all the experiences that you've had? Who do you think you are now?
You know what? I'm happier. I'm a lot more. I'm a positive person. I'm probably your greatest that you can have by your side. I'm an extremely loyal person. However, I have the highest respect for myself.
Okay.
Therefore, I'm extremely selective as to who I'm going to bring into my life. I'm very blunt. I'm very open, very honest. I am sick and tired of hypocrisies, of keeping a facade. I'm very open into telling you my journey, what I've been through, with no shame at all, and not caring the opinion that you're going to build. You have the freedom to build your opinion. I'm going to continue to grow and to evolve and to be the best version of myself. I embrace all of the scars, all of the pain, the heartbreak. I've learned that I have a lot more strength in myself than I ever imagined.
Wow. That's amazing, Mike.
Never thought. And so looking at my daughter makes me so proud. I'm a very loving person.
Yeah.
For sure. And I have a lot of love, but I'm just not going to give it just to anybody because I've learned to appreciate truly the woman and the human being that I am.
Yeah.
And this may sound very cocky, but if I allow you in my life, consider yourself extremely lucky because I'm your ride or die.
Yeah.
I am. I'm there. But you do one fuck up and you're out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't bring me, if you're not loyal or give me, because I believe relationships are two-way, right?
Exactly, yes.
It's mutual respect, understanding, cheering one another.
Yep.
I'm there. One mess up or one I realize, you know what, you're going in a different direction, that's just not me. I'm going to continue to stay very true to who I am. And I know it sounds very ridiculous because we always say, oh, keep it real. But I can genuinely tell you, I do, and that's why I don't have that many friends. But I'm very glad.
Yeah.
Because only the right ones will come my way, and that's whom I'm open for. Yeah. Only the right ones. That's
amazing, Mai.
Not just anybody.
I mean, it's actually, that empowers you as a woman because, your ability to make those type of decisions for yourself, like you're making them for yourself. Like you're not waiting for somebody to dictate or anything. You're not waiting for somebody to come in and be your friend. Like you're saying, like, if I choose you, like you're privileged,
exactly.
And I think if more of us had that, by the way, I share that philosophy with you. I share it very much with you. But I believe that if more of us had that mentality, that we can actually like start making some changes, like some changes within our own families, some changes in our society. And most important of all, not, breaking those patterns now so that the next generation doesn't have to kind of, be dealing with that, or hauling with that stuff or hauling it to the next generation. Like, if I believe that if we have the ability, we have a way to do it, like, ¿por qué no lo hacemos?
Exactly.
¿Por qué no lo hacemos? And it's like, open. I mean, if you have a question, like, ask me. I'm so open. Like, I'm the most non-judgmental person because I was so judgmental. Because I used to be that version, I became somebody opposite because I learned. So I feel for me that I became everything that I used to be, like the opposite of what I used to be.
Yeah.
I became the opposite, because porque me di cuenta that what I was doing was never for me, because I didn't know, because my programming was that to be a people pleaser. My programming was that to be, si tienes muchos amigos, it means you're popular, it means that people like you, it means that, blah, blah, blah. That's a programming that I was raised with. And when I realized and I made the decision and it changed everything about me, I'm like, no, like I like myself because I am like this completely different version of myself. And I know who I am now. Like I just know who I am. I didn't know who I was before.
Yeah.
And that was fucking hard and that was scary. And that led me to a bunch of different, like making a bunch of different mistakes and bad choices in my life. But again, by saying that, I am also very, very happy of all those bad things that happened to me. I am so happy.
Yes.
And I don't say like, pero por qué a mí? Pero por qué me pasó a mí? Porque no, like all I say is like, I'm so glad, like, me pasó porque me tenía que pasar, porque así tenía que ser la vida, porque así me va a seguir pasando. Everything that I need to go through, it's going to keep happening because it's in the process, for my self-evolution.
Exactly.
I evolve. We're constantly evolving, of these next versions of ourselves. And I think wanting to be stuck in that old version of ourselves is keeping us from living.
I think a lot of it is fear. They're afraid
everything is
to
fear-based.
live.
Fear.
Yes, they're very much afraid to be happy and to live.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to live.
Well, no. I mean,
I want to. I like life. It's fun.
I mean,
and you know what?
It should.
It should. And something else that I think it's very important. Often you hear, cuando tienes una persona que siempre está positiva o contenta, es una persona que ha aprendido a que no importa las cartas que te han dado, a ver lo positivo de las cosas, y en lugar de que te pongas como víctima, ay, pero ¿por qué me pasó? No, ¿y sabes qué? Ok, vamos a agarrar ¿cómo se dice? Al bull by the horn.
Yep.
Y we're going to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Make the best of it. This happened for a reason. There's something that I got to learn. There's more additional growth. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Let's hold on for the ride, right?
Well, I think it
the positive
exactly. I think in the end, everything has to do with your attitude about the situation.
How you accept it,
right? Mm-hmm. And so si estás, no, es que a mí siempre me pasa todo malo. Well, probably te van a pasar cosas malas, te van a seguir pasando cosas malas porque tienes que seguir aprendiendo. So entonces, we can flip the script and we could be like, okay, so what am I learning from this?
Yes.
What did I just learn from this?
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
There's a lesson in everything.
There's a lesson in everything.
Difficult people, really bad situations that happen in our life. If we stop just to kind of look at ourselves, we can understand like it was just supposed to happen this way.
Yes.
It was just supposed to, be okay with it. Laugh about it, like laugh a little, and move on.
Move on. And gratitude, though, I think a lot of us we lack gratitude. No agradecemos.
We can actually make a whole episode about gratitude, girl. We could.
Porque there's a lot that we don't. But when you learn to have the gratitude, it's a game changer. It's a game changer.
It is.
And if only people could truly understand that, because it is a game changer.
Yep. Oh my gosh, when you're saying that, I completely agree. And analyzing gratitude for me was probably one of the hardest things that I had to do, because I had to feel it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm fucking wealthy.
Yes.
I am so rich. How come I wanted more? How come I always want more? How come I feel like I never have enough? How come it's always a bigger this, one newer this, shinier that? Yeah. I'm so wealthy. I have everything and more than I could have ever wanted, and if I'm not happy, then there's something going on with me inside.
Exactly.
If I can't appreciate it, and if I'm not grateful for everything that I have, then there's something something that's something going on in there. So start working on it. Mm-hmm. Entonces, yo así miro la vida. Like, once I have those feelings, I'm like, what's going on in your life? What's going on with you? Mm-hmm. Why aren't you appreciating? Why are you feeling, poor me? Like, not pobrecita.
No.
Not pobrecita. Like, please don't call me pobrecita. I don't even like to use that word pobrecita, because that minimizes like my intention in the universe. I'm not a pobrecita.
Exactly.
I just went through shit. And I overcame shit, and I'm probably going to go through more shit, and I'm going to overcome more shit. And then at the end of my life, I hope that I can say I did a good job. And I'm good.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
I like who you are. Not that I didn't before, but again, as childhood, when we were little, it was different, right? We went our separate ways. We had our own. See, that's what I find so interesting, Irene. We had our own journey to go through. And when the universe felt that we were ready to appreciate,
I know,
we're able to see that in each other and appreciate our journey and where we are now. And we understand each other.
Yeah.
I know you've gone through your shit.
Yep.
That you had to go through your change, and now you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Same with me. So we're able to appreciate each other, respect each other, learn. I know I'm going to learn a lot more from you.
Girl,
I like to learn
from you.
I like to learn. I like to grow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, the universe brought us at the right time. When it's like, okay, estas dos locas ya les hace
Seriously.
Right?
Seriously.
It's like, they're here.
Yep.
let's put them together because now there's more that they're going to learn.
And I'm so open. I am so open for like anyone that's going through, you know, some of these experiences that we're going through, because we're going through this like midlife, you know, changes in our lives, biologically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. We're going through like some major shifts in our lives. And like, I feel like it's okay to feel like that. It's okay. Like, it's okay. You know, my podcast is meant for that. Like, if you want to talk, like talk, I invite you.
Yes.
Like, like the in the last podcast, I said, if I send you an invitation and if you don't want to do it, just say no. Like, don't ghost me. Like, don't ghost me. Like, it's cool. Just say no, thank you. I'm good. You know, but I'm just here to share my experiences. I'm so happy that, you know, your thoughts are very aligned to, you know, my thoughts. And that's very refreshing. That is so refreshing because, like I said, I have a hard time, you know, I have a hard time because people form perceptions of you. Everybody has this perception of you, right? So there's like a million perceptions of us out in the world, but nobody really knows who we are.
No.
Nobody knows who we are. Yeah. I am very, very okay. Like, I'm so comfortable with sharing my life and sharing my experiences because I am very proud. I am so proud. Nothing of my life is embarrassing to me. Nothing in my journey. Yo tengo vergüenza. There's a million things that we're going to be able to cover here, but I'm not ashamed of one thing. Not one thing, because that made me and I fucking love me.
Exactly.
I fucking love.
Exactly. And you should. And I'm very happy for that.
I know. I get excited. So thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your life.
Oh, my pleasure.
Actually, it's always like hours with
it is. It's so much fun, though.
I know.
It's so much fun.
But thank you so much for opening yourself up again and for sharing some of your experiences, and we'll keep going. We'll keep going at this. And
there's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm. We still need to address mental health.
Yes.
Which is taboo in the culture as well. And it shouldn't. There's a lot to tackle.
Yep. I have, I think I have probably one of them. I think we all can share very powerful stories about mental health. I have a very, very powerful, you know, story that has to do with, you know, with the family that I was born into. That has to do with mental health that nobody talks about because like nobody even knows how to bring stuff up. Yeah. Like nobody even knows how to open up the subject of mental health. So we just kind of pretend that it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But
you shouldn't.
I'm very open about it. And I've gone through my battles of mental health. I have had probably numerous, you know, mental breakdowns. I've dealt with anxiety, depression, everything under, you know, under the sun when it has to do with mental health. I'm not ashamed of it. I am not ashamed of it because probably, you know, part of that journey in mental health is why I'm the way I am. And I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with it. I'm not.
Should be. There's no shame. That's the thing. We got to get rid of the stigma. There's nothing. We're human beings. Yep. It's okay to not be okay.
And we're fragile and we're broken.
Exactly.
And sometimes it'll show. And that's what happens. And I honestly believe like let's support each other in that part.
It does. I mean, it's like a great saying, right? Crayons break, but they still color.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We should make a t-shirt. Is there a t-shirt? I don't think so. I know. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you again, Mai. I love you so much.
I love you. Thank you so much.
I have a lot of favorite people in the world, but you're definitely one of my favorite people.
Ditto. I love this.
And so, you know, we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for taking a few moments out of your life to listen to my chat with Mai. And we'll see you guys next time.